Nashville Soccer Club is in its second season, and they've added 3 of the championship's premier scorers to last year's core. Tonight, they host a Rowdies side off to a 9-match unbeaten start under one of American soccer's most notable mastheads. Tampa Bay and Nashville star in the USL Championship Game of the Week. Welcome to the USL Championship Game of the Week on ESPN2. Music City and First Tennessee Park playing host as Nashville is banding together in search of a chart-topping season. The Tampa Bay Rowdies, the most defensively stringent team in the championship, 9 games unbeaten. The visitors today as the Rowdies take on some of their favorite current foes, former teammates. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr on hand, and this Tampa Bay team, 5 shutouts in 9 games. You know, it used to be about star power for them. They've eschewed that this year, a younger team, and one that has certainly come together quite quickly for Neal Collins. On the other side, this is a Nashville team that went out, they felt they didn't score enough, so they got 3 of the best goal scorers, Devin, in the championship. Daniel Rios has popped most early.
Daniel Rios, one of the guys coming out of the Chivas Academy in Liga MX, carries all the tricks of the trade. Doesn't necessarily have to use them on a regular basis, though. Let's take a deeper look into what is the great mind of Daniel Rios. He's become a bit of a poacher over the past 2 years, and that is with the highest regards. Check out the anticipation. Has to understand, account for the goalkeeper, the trailing run with the outside back, and most importantly, the center back right next to him. Don't forget there's a little bit of English on the ball. Judges it perfectly, reads the play the entire way. Solid finish back of the net. Game finishes 1-1. Still with me? Let's dive a bit further. You take a look at his ability to read the space in front of him. He understands everything in front of him is a bit too packed. There's a run on the near post. He can't have enough time to drift to the far post, so he bides his time. Yes, he gets a nice bounce from the goalkeeper, but still reads it right, finishes in the back of the net. He's been great. Belmar and Lancaster haven't, though, and unfortunately they've been in and out. They've dealt with some injuries in preseason. They've funneled over into the 2019 campaign. But if they can find a way to get them on board, watch out. You take a look at the Tampa Bay Rowdies and what they're capable on the defensive side of things, they're going to need it with that high-powered offense. They have such a fluid movement, not only going forward, but more importantly, on transition D. Just last week versus Indy 11, ended in 0-0 tie, but all of these guys track back. Now, it starts as a great run. Dane Kelly makes a great switch to on the backside to Ioze. Keep an eye. Now we're at 4v4. They continue to track back. Eventually, 1, 2, 3, 4 extra Tampa Bay Rowdies players have come into the picture. Now it's 8v5. They've closed a bunch of the space down. They've locked up the tight windows. Eni Voltson gets a shot out here, and you'd like a step a bit quicker from Maduro. However, it's easy pickings for McCarthy, and it's a great job of the Tampa Bay Rowdies defense.
Speaking of Pickens, he'll be playing against his former club tonight. Nashville looking for a little consistency and a nice run. The Rowdies, a win could be top of the East. Nashville, Tampa Bay are coming up.
Here to perform the United States national anthem from Owasso, Oklahoma, and a graduate from Belmont University. She is releasing music for the first time this summer. Please welcome singer-songwriter Ali Colleen.
First of 4 consecutive home games for Nashville Soccer Club. In a year, they'll be in MLS right now, trying to move their way up to second with a win. Tampa Bay could find themselves in first with a victory here tonight. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, players made their way out onto the field. Select ball in Guido Gonzalez's hands. Let's take a look at the Nashville starting lineup. Devin, they do make 2 changes, and they're to get former Tampa Bay Rowdies into the game. It's the goalkeeper, Matt Pickens. It's the right back, Darnell King.
Darnell King, someone who's struggled to make his way into this squad, but he gets an nod at right back, and that does give them some flexibility as well. They can shift into a 3-back if they want, push him high, drop Taylor a little bit, and they can go into a 3-4-3. Love the movement by Michael Reed and Akinyoti in the middle. Everything is centered around their ability to find the big guy up top, Daniel Rios. Neal Collins has only made 1 change. That's at right back. Mohamed Kone steps out, Tarek Morad in. That's pretty much been an ebb and flow. They're fighting for that right back position, but the fluid movement between those 3 and John McCarthy is all about the communication on the defensive side of things. Going forward, Neal Collins says that he's like his boys up top, to be a bit more prolific when they do get into the final third. Andrew Tenari has come on strong recently, providing a lot of options going forward.
Gary Smith, the leader of this Nashville side, as the former head coach of the Colorado Rapids. He won an MLS Cup. It's his 2nd year with Nashville. He'll be with the club next year when they make the move to Major League Soccer. Meanwhile, Neal Collins is a guy who played nearly 500 games, finishing his career with the Rowdies, and last year replacing Stu Campbell mid-season. And so far, fine results. He is the championship's reigning coach of the month. Rowdies in those classic hoops jerseys. It's the all-white kits for Nashville Soccer Club. And, you know, Devin, you think about the start of this year, I think everybody was looking at Nashville and Tampa Bay as the kind of teams that could step to the very forefront the Eastern Conference standings. With a win tonight one way or the other, they would be 1 or 2 respectively in the East.
Nashville can go T2 and join the likes of St. Louis FC as well as the Rowdies. Rowdies hold the opportunity, pending goal differential, to go solo up top or join Red Bull 2, who got a victory tied earlier today against Ottawa Fury.
Daniel Rios knocking it back underway. USL Championship game of the week on ESPN2. Rowdies and Nashville. Rowdies unbeaten through 9. Nashville, much stronger goal-scoring acumen this year than a year ago. King to throw. Kept by Davis. LaGrassa. There's Rios, who you mentioned in the open. I think the big reason everyone was excited about Nashville is because they added those 3 big pieces up front to a core that was already so good defensively last year. King trying to cut through. Rios on the turn, early ball. Belmar is target.
No jitters from the home squad yet. And you probably did expect a bit more, especially from a fan standpoint. You get 56 goals brought in, 26 from record holder Cameron Lancaster, 20 from Daniel Rios, and then supplement that with 10 from Carlton Belmar. And you have to realize, well, why only 10? Well, this guy had an opportunity to play under Peter Vermees as well in Sporting Kansas City, so he was back and forth between SKC and Swope Park Rangers. And it's just the ability to kind of get them going in this transitional movement so far. It's a system that they're not necessarily used to, we'll say. Daniel Rios under Colin Clark at NCFC was the lone point man. Cameron Lancaster can say the same under O'Connor, as well as John Hackworth. And though he could play a false 9 at times, he likes to be isolated up top. So for them to kind of move to the left, move to the right, they'll find their way. You're not worried about that. It's just some growing pains early on in the season.
Morad. Didn't start last time out, Morad. First time he was left on the bench this year. Play on with advantage, says Gonzalez, the referee, and Rios. Rios from distance, popped up and over by McCarthy, who has been tremendous this year. Wasn't fooled.
Don't often see distance looks from Rios, as it's always out in front of him. Or coming off set pieces. Nice little take. Actually knuckles on McCarthy a bit. Approaching the goal. Good save by the goalkeeper. Thought he might have lost it. Ended up in the back of the net.
27th save for McCarthy. He's conceded 4 times with 5 shutouts.
That is something that Nashville would probably like to see a bit more, too. They've scored 13 goals this year. 11 of them, including from the penalty mark, have come from inside the box. So not a lot of goals from distance. Good to keep the goalkeeper honest.
Reed tapped along, and it's well over by Matt LaGrassa.
Not the best movement from LaGrassa. Just got away from him a bit. Some opening game jitters. Home team on the front foot for sure, and crowd definitely into it. So difficult to play here. Crowd always says we're the first to come and last to leave. That's always nice.
Bourgeois. It'll be a throw for Nashville. Try this again. Belmar. There's Caleb Richards in from Norwich on loan. Well, first they loaned him out to FC United of Manchester, not to be confused with Manchester United. Eventually made his way over. Tampa Bay and Norwich with a close relationship now.
Cool little piece with him. Norwich actually won the championship this year, so he jumped on social media, gave a shout out to his boys. He's probably sitting going, oh man, come on. Still a good chance for him over in the States though. Tampa Bay Rowdies unbeaten, and it's interesting, more shutouts 5 than goals in the back of the net 4, and just gives you an idea of what they're capable of defensively. We showcased it early on, but it truly is impressive the way that they recover and move forward and back.
Morad snaps it down, and Rowdy's trying to get some semblance of possession here. Oduro pulled down. Najum. Richards lost to LaGrassa. Tejada giving chase. Rowdies swarm, get it back. Tejada now, the story of the preseason for the Rowdies. Blasted out by King.
Recovery by Darnell, just stepping back into the picture, and got exposed a bit, but he carries a massive amount of pace. We saw it at the Rowdies previously, of course, under Darren Powell, San Antonio FC in 2018. And now his talents have come to Nashville. And it is difficult to break into the squad. We said only his 3rd appearance this year, but such reliable features for this Nashville SC squad. And they really gained momentum at the end of 2018. Unfortunately, that was stopped by FC Cincinnati in penalties and playoffs. But it's funneled over here in 19. Quality form so far.
Akinyoti pushing wide. And then Nashville pushing into the final third. Washington long run. Tangled up with Morad. Tarek Morad, one of the guys who helped steady the ship last year when the Rowdies looked like they had sprung a leak.
It's interesting how in a 9-month span, I mean, last year at this time, we were going, wow, what is happening to the back line? They had no system in place, and that's nothing against Stuart Campbell or Neal Collins. They just, sometimes things need to be shaken up. That was the case. Neal Collins gets the nod at the manager role. Fortunate for them, he had his A license, comes in immediately, and you saw the changes over the course of the year start to take place. The back line started to solidify itself, and then you bring in the likes of John McCarthy. It just gels everything together.
Well, and Neal Collins had the most difficult job of all when he became head coach, replacing his most steady defender, Neal Collins.
He's going to take over for himself. One of the things that they have really done well has got to be their performances on the road. I mean, you're looking at a team that in the likes of 15, 16, and 17 carried victories basically you could count on both hands going on the road, and that's just not a recipe for success. It doesn't matter if you go unbeaten at home. If you can't get results here and there on the road, you're not going to make a run over the course of the season.
At Lang Stadium, it would surprise nobody if they go unbeaten. Gary Smith said, that's not our problem to worry about right now, how difficult it is to play in Florida at any time of year, much less over the summer.
I loved it when he referenced the humidity and brought it up. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they handle the humidity in that mid-Florida summer, but not my problem.
Right.
Well said, Gary.
Rowdies clapping along. It's going to be one of the nicer nights in Nashville for a soccer match so far. It has been rain, thunder, and lightning constantly this entire season. Belmar playing it wide. Stab towards Belmar's run, recovered by McCarthy. Pounding in front of Guinzotti. Tagged away from Tenari. Zaccagnoti. Reed. Rios now. King into the final third. Right to Tejada. Doherty, Collins appealing, and it will belong to the Rowdies.
Look at Juan Tejada, a guy coming out of Eckerd College, and it's a great step by Leo Fernandez, but when Tejada plays the ball, gives him no option. Fernandez only has one. It's down the line, tracking back by La Grassa. Good defensive movement, but the youngster has to realize, it's just his first year pro. He'll get it as it goes along, but you have to keep your head open. Understand the vision that's capable of just one quick turn left, one quick turn right, loads of space available, but have to provide it to help out Leo Fernandez going forward.
Bourgeois. Steered back, handled by the one and only, the general, Matt Pickens, although the beard is far less than it once was. 112 appearances for the Rowdies.
Back that up with 28 shutouts. Makes for a nice career in general, yet alone just at one club. Matt Pickens is a guy who's done it at multiple levels for so many years.
Did it for Gary Smith with that MLS Cup winning side for the Colorado Rapids. And if you're Gary Smith and you're trying to build a team, you go get a guy like Kosuke Kimura and Matt Pickens first.
Familiarity of it all really helps transitioning into a new squad. And he said that, he went out and got guys that he was familiar with. You've seen that in the representation on the field. Kosuke Kimura, a gentleman who probably sits right in front of Darnell King on a regular basis. But it's hard to replace consistent performances, and guys that have really been trustworthy over the course of the years. Still a good chance for Darnell King to showcase what he's capable of.
King slides down, and Guinzotti, as the Rowdies try and find some sturdy possession here. Odoro, one of two unbeatens in the championship this year, this Rowdies side. Though, Devin, you were comparing them to Liverpool, but maybe not in the way the Rowdies would hope.
And just too many ties. They're not bad ones, though. When you take a look at their results so far, most recently we already highlighted it, their ability to go on the road, get a point at Lucas Oil. Indy 11, much like Nashville SC carries their triumvirate up top, has a high-powered offense. They kept them at bay.
Tejada slashing that through the area. We'll get a second look at this.
Lest we forget they were able to toe the line with St. Louis FC, another one of the teams that have made a name for themselves, 2019 in the Eastern Conference. And then the defending champs, back-to-back, mind you, Move City FC, April 13th, 1-1 at Al Lang. They've definitely gotten the goals when they need to. However, Neal Collins has admitted they've struggled a bit in the final third. Someone who hasn't necessarily been on the end of those comments is Seba Guanzati up top. 7 goals over the course of 2 seasons. He's already got 5 in 9 this year.
Little bump, Bourgeois handles that with ease.
The main man, Gary Smith. What a mind that would be to pick, huh? Just sit with him. Such a nice guy, willing to chat with you for hours on end and give you an idea of exactly what his thought process is.
Rowdies unbeaten through 9. 4-2-2. Fine start for Nashville. 14th minute in the USL Championship game of the week. Midweek contest between 2 teams that expect to be near the top of the Eastern Conference, which is loaded this year. Grassa hands up looking for the early service. On the turn, Najum. Tribbett the other way. Nice back heel setting up Reed. LaGrassa. That's an easy hopper from McCarthy.
Quality ball movement though. 1-2 in and out of tight spaces. Daniel Rios tucking back in. Carlton Belmar becoming more active. This is a positional change a bit for Carlton Belmar. Another one that played up top alone, but in his system, he's at least familiar with the stacked line up top. Familiar with the 4-3-3 in the Sporting Kansas City and Swope Park Rangers organization. So for him to drift out on the right, a little bit easier for him to adjust to it compared to Lancaster or Rios fulfilling that role. And he has been great in his performances. He's done nothing wrong. Sometimes just for a forward, you hit a wall, and once you get through it, the goals do come.
Davis said he was really excited to showcase himself, this team, on ESPN2. Washington cutting this along. We'll get by Reed. A little deflection, just enough for Diakite. And LaGrassa and Nashville load up again. Washington, numbers in the box. Washington serving, Belmar header, wide. Well, we were told that sometimes when you're not scoring, the goal mouth looks like a matchbox. You are, it looks like the field of play, and Belmar just off the mark.
You feel the frustration for Carlton Belmar, but another excellent movement going forward. Everybody in line, take a number. You've got Belmar on the back post, Rios crashing the 6. Matt LaGrassa had made a nice run to the penalty mark. Just put it on a platter, someone go get it. Unfortunate by Belmar.
Former championship rookie of the year. And, you know, we mentioned it earlier, we're not trying to pontificate. You know, it's difficult. It's a goal scorer just trying to get over the hump. He scored at this level so extensively in past years. He's been to a USL Cup final with Swope Park. Eventually it's going to go.
You have to also realize guys that are the main man on the team. Daniel Rios, NCFC, Cam Lancaster at Lou City, Carlton Belmar in the Sporting Kansas City Swope Park Rangers organization. You have to carry chivalry with you when you step into those spots because it's not about you anymore. There's 2, 3, 4 guys, and it's about this team going forward. So, again, to branch out from a role that you're not necessarily used to is quite difficult, but it's all starting to come together.
Mudgingly handing this off. It is with Nashville in the end. Rios has hand to it. Gonzalez Jr., regular in the USL Championship circles. Nice upfield from Morad. He'll have to play back. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship. Many of the finest leagues in the world since 1947. Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. For the latest Select product special offers, please visit SelectSportAmerica.com. Tenari lost the handle. Rios, clever, going back to Reed, who wears the captain's armband tonight. Akinyoti. Off that of Diakite. Devin, let's be honest, the Rowdies missed the playoffs last year when everyone thought they were going to make it. Then with the 7 expansion teams that joined the championship this year, the league continuing to grow at an explosive rate. They moved 2 playoff teams from the West over to the East, Swope Park and St. Louis. It got harder this year.
They're loaded. And the parity between the 2 conferences is quite interesting as well, especially when you get the opportunity to chat with the likes of a Gary Smith and Neal Collins, or jump out west, you know, Rick Shantz, Braden Cloutier in Orange County. They are 2 totally different styles. And in the East, a bit much of a tighter knit unit. They have an ebb and flow to them that is a bit more graceful. Out west, 100 miles an hour. Offensive juggernauts that like to jam it down your throat. And it's always fun to see what ends up happening in the playoffs. But in the East, it is, to be fair, probably the better squads, if you will. Red Bull 2 off to a huge start. They seem to be latecomers usually in their campaigns. Already referenced Nashville and the Rowdies, but how about St. Louis FC? Dave Sarakin, former interim U.S. men's national team manager, stepping over, taking the helm at North Carolina FC. Just so much talent.
And if you think about it, there is a play-in round now, so the top 10 make the playoffs. The bottom 4 that make it have to play before the playoffs really begin, that top 8. So of the 36, 20 teams in total will reach the postseason.
Tampa just struggling a bit to make their mark offensively so far. Good challenge, Bradley Bourgeois stepping over, and you wonder what will be for Seba Guenzati, Leo Fernandez, Tejada. Tejada's an interesting one because moves right to left very well. Been isolated on that left side so far. And where is Andrew Tenari? He's the guy that has made this engine go in the middle of the field. They were letting Odoro sit and then sitting 4 flat in front of him. Now he's moved a bit higher line. Andrew Tenari has stepped up. Have to find him.
This lash toward the goal. Skitter wide, unimpeded.
The best look so far by the Rowdies. Andrew Tenari, so active from dead ball and set piece situations. Both corner sides, and the best of balls in, was so amazing with his talents last year at Red Bull 2.
That did take a deflection in the end. And Leo Fernandez take the corner here. Diakite is a handful right in front of the goal mouth. Fernandez. Well, Pickens shouting at the referee, does get the whistle.
Diakite didn't like the nod from the referee, and Rowdies have to be smarter in these situations. Nashville is not sloppy at the back. They don't give up a lot of corners or a lot of opportunities from dead ball situations. And the Tampa Bay Rowdies only have 3 guys outside of John McCarthy that stand above 6 foot. 2 of them are on the back line. So when you get into those spots, you're wasting a lot of energy coming all the way up. You want to try and pick somebody out. No reason to overstep your boundaries. Give the referee a reason to whistle you.
Well, Neal Collins told us that's the focal point of what they're trying to address in training right now. Because everyone wants to score more on set pieces. Everyone wants to concede less. The World Cup last year only underscored what I think everyone in soccer has been talking about for quite some time.
There's an understated talent that more managers are taking notice to, training more on a regular basis. We've seen some interesting ones over the past 2 years here in the championship. Las Vegas Lights last year, I mean, they had full-blown poster cards up on the sideline with picture representations and all.
Reed and Davis behind the ball. It'll be Reed on the delivery. claimed by McCarthy. McCarthy trying to unlock Tejada. It's handled by Pickens into the penalty area. Tejada chasing in, nearly dispossessed Reed. Neal Collins a bit incensed right now.
You'll see them hunting packs at times. 2, 3 guys step into the ball. Tejada goes alone, and he wanted a second and third chance. Guenzati wasn't necessarily in direct communication with the Panamanian, and Leo Fernandez hadn't played a higher line either, so it was pretty easy after the initial challenge for Nashville to play out of the back. Again, the home squad so composed on the ball, more than capable. Just slowly moving up, taking their time, but also going quickly in transition.
Had the header, ultimately away from Reed. Devin, how do you want to see the Rowdies try and be a bit more mindful in possession? How do they find a little more out of this performance than they've gotten so far on the road?
There's a disconnect in the middle of the field. We talked about hunting in packs, but there's no movement through the middle at all. Everything's been on the wings, and more specifically through Leo Fernandez. Andrew Tenari is the main man. You need to run the ball through him. Damo Duro sits deeper. Jordan Doherty slides in a bit further. And when Nashville steps like this, start to go the other direction, you can almost lure them in and then go in transition. A la Taylor Washington coming up. He oversteps his boundaries against Tarek Morat. Now hit the reset button and find your playmakers. They haven't been able to do that yet. Very direct on the outsides, and they've struggled to move into the offensive third.
Fans, you can follow Nashville or Tampa Bay or the rest of the USL Championship all season long for on ESPN+. It's home to the USL Championship, League One, MLS, UFC, and more. Join the over 2 million sports fans who already discovered ESPN+. Watch the championship live every week. Sign up today, ESPNplus.com. '26th minute of play. Two teams still feeling the game out a little bit. Tampa Bay a win and a draw in the 2 meetings against Nashville a year ago. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. USL Championship game of the week. Rowdies and Fresno will be on ESPN Plus tonight against Sacramento, a California derby. The 2 undefeated teams in the championship at this stage. Guenzati chasing all the way, and that sort of snuck up on Pickens a hair. Told he was a bit of Peter Pan last year, Pickens.
Doesn't want to grow up, does he? He carries the talent, so why not? The ball by Bourgeois almost got away from him. We saw that in the early goings against their game versus ATL UTD2. Center back just sprayed one in. Early opening goal for Nashville. They'll take the own goal because they had one just the week before against Pittsburgh.
Well, Neal Collins was once the blogging footballer in his playing days. Just toying around with the commentary side of things, and ultimately Bill Edwards, the owner of the Rowdies, came to him, said, we're making a change and we think you're just the guy. Stu Sternberg, the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays, took ownership of the team this year. Neal acknowledging all that Bill Edwards had done for soccer in the Tampa Bay area, for one, but in the grander scheme and out of a trust Bill had in him. Davis steered away. LaGrassa came toward it. Rowdies in control. Hada Bourgeois going the distance.
It's pretty interesting to hear Neal Collins expand on it a bit further, and he kept a core group of players from what was already there. Now, he brought in some real nice pieces. Well, you know, we said, Neal, what's the difference? It's the expectation. He said the new ownership group came in. You could see that winning isn't an option, it's the only option. You have to get results, and that's translated over into the training ground, into the results on the pitch, and everybody has just pushed their ceiling a bit higher, one leading after another. Even guys that aren't making the 18 or making the trip on the road, constantly texting each other, phone calls, making sure that the whole environment is extremely inspirational, and the results have shown.
Guinzotti. And when I say this, it's not a shot across the bow, but Georgi Ristoff, Martin Vingard, Marcel Schaefer, and Joe Cole did not have ascendant days ahead. They arrived on the back end of their careers. It didn't mean they didn't give great moments. Right now, the Rowdies feel they've got a young core. And Neal Collins adding a lot of athleticism. Well, the whistle goes, and Diakite got bowled over by Washington.
Taylor asking our referee why, and he does move his arm out just a bit. It's not the worst of challenges between he and Bourgeois, but the two of them tracking back. Just extends his arm out a bit, and the referee was in the right place, right time, could see the entire movement. Diakite just walking it off a bit.
They trialed him for, we were told, a couple of days, and they knew. Big, strong, take charge kind of guy.
You need it. Good look from Michael Reed. Loads of space to work with. They've had plenty on the left. Haven't necessarily utilized it as much. Going a lot through Belmar. And Taylor's upset about it. And the problem is he just leans in at the end. Again, it's not the worst challenge. It's not the worst call. You still have a load of work to do after you win it. Just that shoulder crosses boundaries just a bit.
Diakite, not the best clearance. Caleb Richards, usher that out. Darnell King will have to take a couple of steps back here. He's a Tampa native.
Tampa native, FAU Owl. The Fighting Owls playing under Kaz Donev coming out of the South Florida school, more specifically Boca Raton. Had an opportunity to see him playing growing up. It's a guy who transitioned to the back line as a prolific forward through his youth years and into college. And that happens. You'll see when guys make a jump to the next level, they morph themselves a bit.
Reed, tried to lay that off. LaGrassa and Rios landed between the two. Reed a second time off of LaGrassa. Fernandez. This has been a nice, steady performance from Nashville. Patient. Now we're asking Gary Smith, hey, describe the best run of play you've had this year. And he said, well, against Memphis, we were patient, and described how well the team played offensively against Ottawa. That was a 3-0 win. They've had some really solid results this year.
And that Ottawa win starts to look better and better as the season goes on, doesn't it? Popovich starting to turn things around, and you and I talked about it last year. We can clue everybody in. When Popovich comes over from Swope Park Rangers, the way he wanted to play wasn't necessarily capable of it based upon the squad he had, and went a bit more direct. Things didn't translate to results right away, but much like Nashville at the end of there, built some momentum, and they've started off this year quite nice. Paul Howarth continuously saying that we're getting better, we're getting better. He said we will 100% be in the postseason. So big, tall words before the season started, but it's starting to head in that direction.
And Nashville with a formational change to two forwards, blowing Ottawa out of the water.
When you look at what they've done, it's easy to go, oh, Belmar's not scoring, Lancaster's not scoring. Same time last year, they basically doubled their goal total already.
They had 7 through 8 games last year, 14 through 8 games this year, and they finished with 20 in their last 10. So it's carried over. Now watch when Lancaster Belmar starts scoring.
You're in trouble. I mean, that is, I would not want to be on the back line to have to deal with those three. Just a massive amount of talent. Three very similar players, but three very different players as well. Show you so many looks. And outside of the result at Pittsburgh, where they lost their cool a bit, he says we're right where we want to be. We should probably just be 2 points higher.
Little back heel. Najam taken out. Before it reached Tenari, the whistle from Gonzalez just outside the penalty area.
Matt Pickens was asking the AR in the near touchline for offside flag. Adam Najam coming back from the ACL tear that was so gruesome in April of 2018. First New York Red Bulls too. Najam, smart by the outside midfielder, well done, just allows his body to hold it up, and he knows he's gonna take one. He's either gonna draw the foul or get a good move and go the other direction. Leo Fernandez, rough angle here for the midfielder. It's only the two-man wall, but he's got one on the near post who's now stepped off. So can Pickens get the right angle, close things down? Because you still have to account for all the runners coming in on the cross.
Well, Fernandez can't certainly lash it. He'll lift this to the back post, headed down to Hada. The young man from Florida jumps on the score sheet. Rowdies lead at 34 minutes.
Beautiful set piece. Matt Pickens has to wait and understand, cover the near post, trust the wall, but at the same point in time, all the runners on the back post said they don't have a lot of height. Let's go to the training ground. Great ball to the backside by Guenzati, who knocks it back across the 6. And the former Eckerd College Triton dropping a thunderbolt at First Tennessee Park.
Somewhere Ian Cameron's got a big smile on his face. The Panamanian Youth International came to the States, go to IMG Academy in Bradenton, then went on to Eckerd. Just has a little bit of that Sonic the Hedgehog in him. It's just a guy that goes after it in the press and pounces on those little moments.
He's got some kind of engine in him, and every single time that he's either gotten the nod on the team sheet in the 11 or come off the bench, he provides that spark. And it's always something. Counter-opted, run a play. It's not necessarily the little small touches. It's your transitional play off set pieces. And how about Leo Fernandez just trusting Guenzati to go up and get it? A guy that only stands 5'10" against a pretty decently sized back line of Nashville SC. Excellent execution.
Jordan Doherty gets taken out. It's just his third start. The 18-year-old who came in from Sheffield United. Neal Collins made many of his bones as a player.
It's unfamiliar territory for Nashville as well. It's only the second time they've conceded at home this year.
Well, believe it or not, they've played in 16 Nashville wins through a year and about a half. In only one of those games did they concede. 16 wins, 15 by shutout. That proved telling tonight. Tejada clips the heels of Akinyoti.
Falling a bit flat here for Nashville going forward. They were definitely on the front foot, opening 10, 15 minutes, knocked the ball around nicely. A lot of movement by Michael Reed in the middle. Matt LaGrassa very active. And a lot going through Belmar. Slowly started to move things to Taylor Washington. The Rowdies slowly moved their line up. Each and every time the movement came out, they progressed a bit higher, all culminating on the excellent set piece.
Did just slip away from King. Throw for Nashville. And reaching, goalkeeper McCarthy hung on. Belmar is asking for a penalty. Well, big convergence of bodies all at once.
He's pleading his case. So are the Rowdies. Felt like this came back to McCarthy. Off to Yakite, get a better look. Quick throw, There's the speed by Belmar. Little shoulder charge. That ball's coming back across. More of a deflection. He doesn't play it back to him.
Quickly got down the other way.
Should have used that one when I was growing up. Ref, it's a deflection.
Yeah.
It didn't play it to him.
Okay.
No, I got myself in trouble a lot. That wasn't usually one that I was involved with.
That'd be the classiest way you've ever talked to a referee in your life. The former super studs up center back Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand, USL Championship Game of the Week. Rowdies on the scoreboard first at First Tennessee Park in Nashville, Music City. And I both have fond memories of times in Nashville.
Like the opportunity of chatting with Chris Jones and reminiscing about all the places over there and a couple of breweries that I visited. Some nice sights and sounds. Was the base camp, we'll call it, for my bachelor party in 2018. Some of the best picks for my pick'em ever came out of there. Till this day, I can't live those down.
Is it 0-5?
It was way worse than that.
It was the whole schedule for USL Pick'em last year over on USLChampionship.com.
I remember sending you the email back, and you replied back, really? I said, hey, man, I'm throwing darts in the dark right now.
Yeah,
Stay
okay.
with me.
You can get updates and alerts all year long by following your club over on ESPN.com. Search for your favorite club and then click the follow button to keep up with the latest news and scores. Plus, get reminders on your team's next match. Go to ESPN.com now. Click follow for your club. Belmar grappling with his shin guard. And Diakite converged a moment ago.
Home crowd not enjoying it either. Quite vocal about the challenge, but he just follows through, gets stepped on right at the tail end of it. There's that right foot, pulls it back. No malintent by Diakite.
Coming up at halftime here on ESPN2. Stick around. We'll give you news and notes from around the league. Got your first half highlights and stats right around the corner. Of course, the U.S. Open Cup set to begin on ESPN Plus for the championship sides next week. USL League 2, USL League 1 already underway. Nashville will take on, well, Ian Cameron's side, Tormenta 2. From what used to be the PDL, now USL League 2.
Got some fun matchups already. Others waiting for their opponent based upon this week's results. Reno and Sacramento are going to do battle. Phoenix Rising, New Mexico United.
That game is going to be phenomenal.
Barn burner, 100 miles an hour, back and forth, back and forth. Wouldn't want to be Guido Gonzalez Jr. reffing that one.
Rowdies approaching the penalty area, and Fernandez lost it. King slides not once, but twice. Tampa Bay maintains here. Oduro. Richmond Kickers scored a 6-2 win. Cell League 1 side of the United States' most notable brands. Belmar doing battle here.
What a fun matchup that is, though. Carlton Belmar, Caleb Richards showing you the speed. A little old school shoulder charge down on that far channel. Belmar tried to knock it off him and pull from it. He said, my bad. Had some movement in the middle. To be fair, that's where both teams have struggled heavily. LaGrassa, Reed, and Akinyoti were quite active early on, but they've really faded now. Trying to move things down into the channel a bit more, and that's okay, but just haven't been able to execute.
Tenari couldn't sneak through Tejada.
As late as this was, I'm shocked if he doesn't get a card here. They have the opportunity to go the other way. Numbers going forward. Guido Gonzalez Jr. doesn't feel it necessary to to have a stern talking to Leo Fernandez. Just a quick comment, go the other way. Darnell King got whacked.
Not friends anymore?
Their acquaintances coming in. That distance has probably lengthened a bit. I mean, that is, oh. Feel that one tomorrow.
Morad turned it over. Reed. Belmar alongside Rios. Still very much alive here. Akinyoti. King. Grassa. Hold on just a bit too long. Well, the Rowdies bench all jumps up in unison. Is with the home side here. Turned by Reed. Excellent by King. What more can he do? Rios chasing. Came out to Davis. And Zadi. Chunk taken out of him there by Reed.
Seba's taken a few knocks over the past couple minutes. One before from Akinyoti on the two-hander, although they blew it the other direction. You can see the ball movement. Belmar ball hunting a bit, drifting from the right over. Some movement coming in with the skill. So technical, Darnell King right up over the top. Great first touch. Service not the best. I don't mind the thought process.
1 minute of first half stoppage time ahead. Nashville looking to equalize short of the break. Reed was streaking out of the midfield. Fernandez. Tejada in the midst of it all again. You get the feeling you talked to Neal Collins about that 0-0 draw against Indy 11. We weren't at our best. It was our third game in 8 days. He's very pragmatic about it. I think he'll probably be a bit pragmatic at halftime. 1-0 lead, I think, is ultimately all you can hope for on the road, regardless of whether or not you found yourself early or not.
Sometimes that all it takes is 1 or 2 chances here or there. If you're able to convert, you'll take it any way you can get it.
Davis cleared away. Ross ahead. Belmar was just trying to spin with it. That'll take us to halftime.
It's kind of the story of his 2019 season so far. Almost, but not. Tampa Bay Rowdies did a good job just biding their time. Not the best we've seen them on the defensive side of the ball, but Juan Tejada was able to change things in the 34th minute. Good ball in by Leo Fernandez on the set piece. Excellent execution. Home squad really started strong, but faded a bit. You better believe both managers are going to talk to them about decision-making on the ball and their ability to push into the final third.
Well, we've got highlights and stats from the first half and news and notes from around the USL Championship when we come back here on ESPN2. Tampa Bay on the road. This used to be their kryptonite. It doesn't look that way right now. Nashville, well supported on the night, came close to the opener through Belmar. But in the end, it's Tejada, the Panamanian, on the scoreline. Tampa Bay 1, Nashville 0 at the half. There's Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, as Nashville trailing Tampa Bay at First Tennessee Park. 1-0 in the USL Championship Game of the Week on ESPN2. Welcome into our booth, everybody. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr with you for this one. Devin, this first half ultimately could have been played without a midfield and been the same result, it felt like.
Managers are going to be upset at halftime, and they basically bypassed everything. Good movement earlier from Nashville FC, but the gist of it was on the far touchline in front of the managers. 60% running that direction. Andrew Tenari's position is higher traditionally than Guenzati, so there's no way to find him in the middle of the field. There's no fluid movement, and everything has been on the wings. You've seen a lot of struggling. Too methodical in their actions. Needs to speed up the rate of play. Put it on the carpet, make it easy, 1-2 touches, go again.
Well, Omaha, Nebraska has gotten a lot of play over the years if you listen to Peyton Manning, but they've got a professional soccer team coming their way in 2020. They'll play at Werner Park. Jay Mims is their coach, and the announcement was made this week.
Man, I'm going to tell you, I think it's freaking awesome. For lack of a better word, it's awesome.
We would like to formally welcome you to League One for 2020. Yeah.
We are proud to be the stewards and caretakers of the world's game and the big O for all the fans. And it starts today, right now.
We, together, collaboratively, can make such a huge positive impact on the community. Together.
You know, you close most deals and you sit at your desk or maybe have a closing dinner. I get to celebrate with 200 people with cheers, so it's awesome.
Breaking in, Kasim!
Oh, what a save by Matt Pickens! Got a run from distance, and it's a goal! Pulls with the left and in. And what a save for Van Ogle! Here's a chance for Kasim, who puts it in!
Rowdies 1, Nashville 0. A look at downtown Nashville and what atmosphere it always proves to be in Music City with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Let's take a look at some news and notes from around the USL Championship. Congratulations to Evan Newton. A lot of longevity going through 5 different teams. He's with Indy now. He is the regular season leader in shutouts for the championship all time.
He's had such a storied career in general, now under Martin Rennie, but Arizona United, OKC Energy, Sac Republic, FC Cincinnati last year, and now under Indy 11 hitting 41 shutouts. A massive number that's going to be very difficult to top.
Give me one reason why you should watch Birmingham and Nashville on the 22nd.
Chandler Hoffman, he is the counterpart to Daniel Rios. Finds a way to get it done. Not necessarily blazing speed, not necessarily shots from distance, but the guy is always in the right place, always at the right time, and always on a successful squad.
Hoffman is a 50-plus goal scorer in championship play, as his Legion will take on Nashville. It's May 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We've still got a second half coming up here. We'll show you first half highlights from the half that was. Tejada, the goal scorer. The Rowdies lead Nashville at the half, 1-0. Welcome back to the USL Championship Game of the Week. First half highlights between the Rowdies and Nashville Soccer Club with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. We begin first 5 minutes.
Daniel Rios got it going early. He was the player to watch. We talked about him being a poacher. How about from distance? 25 yards out. Good save by John McCarthy. Almost let it get away from him. Just about 10, 15 minutes later, 16-minute mark, Carlton Belmar. It's kind of been the story of his season so far. Just can't finish things off, but it'll come with time. Just be patient, young man. And how about the goal? Great execution by the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Not a lot of offensive looks, but when Leo Fernandez standing over the ball, sweet left foot, allows to drift to back post to Guenzotti, puts it right back into the mixer. Tejada on the doorstep, 1-0 Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, second of the year, and a guy who grew up in Panama but has spent more than half a decade in Florida, including time at Eckerd College. Gets it by Pickens. And the Rowdies lead on the road as we go into the second half of play. It's the Hoops jerseys for Tampa Bay Rowdies. Nashville in their white kits. Looking to band together. They've said that this group has tremendous character. They're very pleased with how they've progressed. And it's on to the second half as they look to find a way to equalize, maybe even get 3 points against this Tampa Bay Rowdy side. What a story the Rowdies have been this year. They went 8 games unbeaten back in 2017. They went 10 games in 2013. So if they win or draw here, it would be the longest unbeaten stretch of competitive fixtures for Tampa Bay in their modern history. Ball wind out to Reed. Washington. Ball dropped down. Reed can't get to it. There was a change at halftime, and it's the reigning USL Championship Golden Boot winner, Cameron Lancaster. More on him in a moment. Tejada. Tenari tried to drive himself in front. Pickens, but couldn't.
Now you get that direct look to the 3-back system. Darnell King steps off. Ken Tribbett will touch into the middle. Davis will still occupy the left side, but Bradley Bourgeois will slide over to the right, and the 3 will pinch together to allow the likes of Washington and Belmar to play in that wing-back type system, though defensively Washington usually tucks a bit further. And now Cam Lancaster. Where is the relationship with Daniel Rios, and Carlton Belmar? That's what they've been trying to stoke early on in this 2019 season. Just unfortunately, through injury and fitness, they really haven't been able to get it going.
Tribbett came in from Penn FC last year. LaGrassa. Reed pulling the strings. Well done to win some space. Nothing doing for Nashville. Fernandez. Long dribbling run. Has options. Found it now. It's by Doherty and Richards now. Flicked onward, Guenzotti won't have a shot at that.
Pickett's Johnny on the spot. This would have ended up going to the corner flag. Well done reading the play and adjusting his run. Make sure it doesn't go over the end line.
Lancaster drops in deep. Last 4 years at Louisville City, part of 2 title-winning teams. Of course, any conversation about his time there, the addendum is he was injured most of 2017. Watched Luke Spencer take the leading role, then scored the game winner in the final. Then 2018, leading man all year, 25 goals in the regular season. And in 2018, missed the final. In 2017, here's the goal. Speedy Williams, perfectly for Lancaster. 88th minute, and Swope Park ultimately comes up tantalizingly short.
Sent him packing. Funny the changing of the guard, how that came about. Lancaster was one of the few for James O'Connor at that point in time, struggling with injury. They found a way to get it done, and then repeated last year, almost by the same merit. He was something fun to watch last year, man, and he always is when he's healthy, and unfortunately just struggled a bit, but still very, very young, Cameron Lancaster is.
He and Neal Collins among the few that have played just one game in the English Premier League. Of course, his game with Tottenham. I'm not sure what he thought of today's boondoggle, or yesterday's boondoggle for that matter, in the Champions League. Tenari. Oh, got his legs taken out. Free kick, Tampa Bay. Up 24 yards off of the end line.
More frustration by Taylor Washington. Had a case to be made in the first half. This time around, Andrew Tenari, shapeshifter on the ball. So good with the ball at his feet, out in space. I mean, he does everything so right usually. They've just struggled to get him going forward. Good look there, and now another dangerous set piece. This time it's a bit further out, just off the corner of the 6. It's a good look by exactly what Matt Pickens is going to have to deal with, employing 4 on the wall at this point in time.
There was an awesome piece in The Athletic this week to shout out about Wayne Rooney's free kick prowess. He's scoring like 18% of his shooting range free kicks.
Guido Gonzalez Jr. is letting Taylor Washington cheat up here a little bit. He's got about 1.5 yards on the wall.
Will it be Leo Fernandez? It's caught on the dive by Pickens. I saw a couple of those in practice in years past.
It's funny as well because when you watch him, he reads it the whole way. He's got the jump on it, takes the early step. Sometimes you worry about goalkeepers cheating, but to your point, Pickens has seen that before. He's done his homework and was very well accustomed to where Leo Fernandez was trying to go.
Reversing to McCarthy. Once upon a time, Rookie of the Year, Goalkeeper of the Year in the championship. Bob Lilly's Rochester Rhinos.
Good look at Seba Gonzati, and believe it or not, actually agreeing with the referee. They're letting Matt LaGrossi here, Gary Smith is, drift back into the middle. We've referenced the disconnect of midfield play between both squads so far. They're trying to stack it a bit, jump 5 in the middle, see if they can control the tempo a bit more centrally.
Slide slowed Nashville, didn't stymie them. This will be a throw for Daniel Rios. 3 years in the Mexican Ascenso, the second division there. Never actually played for Chivas Guadalajara in League MX. It's the first official signing of Nashville's MLS side for next year. Lost by Bourgeois. Tejada looks up at Guinzotti. Side of Tribbett, who did well there. Just said it, his leadership qualities are off the charts, and his distribution has been very good as well.
It was a great decision by the referee. Smart by Tribbett to just drift over, and that gives you an idea of his character as well, because Penn exactly wasn't lighting things up in 2018. They were getting beat regularly. They were getting things run down their throat, and when you're anchored on a back line and that happens to you, your performance can drift away. That wasn't the case for Ken Tribbett. Each and every game you could see him, and he was getting better and better. The motion started getting better, and he carries such a high IQ. He's a guy coming out of the Drexel that just understood the game, and all of the tutelage that he's had under the coaches that he's played for have just given him the opportunity to progress his game further.
Tribbett was actually working as a referee on the side briefly, trialing around the championship looking for a gig. Lancaster was a trialist in Louisville and actually went home and came back. Sometimes a butterfly flaps its wings and nothing was ever the same.
We can have a laugh about it now, but I mean, you wonder, you look at it and really, they let him go? He was a trialist?
Yeah, that toothpaste nearly didn't get put back in the tube.
A little wash, rinse, repeat, get it going again. That's what Lancaster is looking to do here. Again, he's only hit the back of the net once, did it opening day. Since then, in and out of the lineup, had a few wiggles here and there from an injury standpoint. Proper form versus Loudon. Daniel Rios hit the back of the net as well. Still struggling the exchange play in the middle of the field. Tarek Morad getting involved. Good look at Jordan Doherty.
Welcome to the Cam Lancaster experience. Enjoy this, folks. If he's behind the ball, he's just the man you want.
40 yards out, left center. Yeah, why not? Hit it.
He's done it before. This won't dip nearly in time. He broke some rowdy hearts last year at Al Lang Stadium with a vicious free kick goal.
He would go on runs last year. He had a performance at the Rowdies. New York Red Bulls 2 comes to mind as well. His goal from half field. And it was kind of an initial letdown of sorts. The final ended up being great against Phoenix Rising, but you want to see the guys, the high profiles, and unfortunately Cameron Lancaster still nursing an injury at that point in time.
We weren't sure if he was going to play here. Game time decision. He collided knees in training on Thursday. It was apparently more precautionary than anything, but he had a hamstring injury in preseason. It's only his 6th appearance for Nashville. And the interesting thing in talking with Gary Smith is, can you get all 3 of these guys on the field, Rios, Belmar, Lancaster, your big ticket additions over the offseason? And if so, what's the best structure to get the best out of all 3? Tejada keeping this, the challenge of Davis, and Tribbett pick it off. And the idea at first, if you play 2 forwards, maybe Belmar can move out wide, and seeing a hint of that in this.
When you're put in that position, you start easy, work your way up. You can sit in a 4-4-2, then start to explore a bit further. You can stack the forwards up top. And we saw Lancaster quite a few times at Louisville where he could tuck down underneath, come receive, and play out. A lot of channel play under the likes of James O'Connor and John Hackworth. And, you know, you start easy, continue to progress, and that all comes down to tactical work and training. And to be fair, you can't really work on it when you don't have all the guys. Gary Smith said that, you know, I was frustrated at the beginning because Belmar didn't necessarily come in healthy. Lancaster didn't come in healthy. Daniel Rios was really the only one that was in top shape to start off. He's at the back of the net, 5. We saw the set piece by the Rowdies. Why not repay the favor?
59th minute. It's well won, but Reed nods it down. Belmar. Reed, a set piece specialist himself. Chance to run out here for Tampa Bay. Pushing forward, Tenari. Guinzotti tried to curl that along. Reed the block. Fernandez and Guinzotti had the wires crossed.
We highlighted Tampa Bay Rowdies backline coming in. Have to give credit to the back 3-4-5 of Nashville SC. Good job drifting back as Tampa Bay Rowdies tried to go in transition. Guinzotti, not the best decision making. Again, that's something that's plagued this game so far. Excellent composition on the defensive side of things to regain composure, get everybody behind the ball.
Rios, Belmar, a guy who says he plays with a chip on his shoulder. Rios now. Well done by Odoro. So much was talked about as we hit the hour mark. USL Championship game of the week. The Rowdies' attitude significantly adjusted. That is a dangerous biking high boot. Guinzotti checks on Belmar. But Neal Collins said, we are starting with the basics in preseason, building this up.
It's quite difficult as well from a thought process when you look at who's on the roster. You're talking about guys with loads of experience. You build from the ground up, you start up top like a Guinzotti. Captain, been there year after year, one of the originals that's come in. He was actually with Neal Collins for year on end. And it's been a struggle at the end of last year, but they've started to finally find their way. Sean Barry's going to get his opportunity to find the way in this match.
Sean Barry's a lot of fun, isn't he? I mean, I'm asking Neal about how fast he is, and he goes, he also plays a lot of positions, and that's useful in its own right. This will run all the way out.
Quite versatile a player, and he was actually wondering whether or not he was going to get the go. Struggling with a bit of an ankle nag, and David Najim just never really made his mark on this game. You saw a lot of movement by Fernandez, and on the other side, Carlton Belmar. That's pretty much been the MO of this game. That's the matchup that they've isolated on. We've harped on the inability by both squads to play through the middle of the field. Could be something they wanted to bypass, to be honest, but tactically, it's struggling to get movements going forward. Predictability is so easy to understand when you get into these moments, and both managers have understood that, and defensively, you've locked it up. Now it's time for you to give another look. Sean Barry is someone, Puerto Rican international, who can give you that look. Even on the weak ankle, still a load of pace to be had.
Tenari a touch. Reed, LaGrassa. Finally festooned First Tennessee Park. And the crowd getting into it here, trying to cheer their home side on to a win that would move them to second place in the East on goal differential. It's very crowded at top 6-7 in the Eastern Conference. Top 10 will make it this year, including the new play-in game. Kept alive by Belmar. It's good communication from McCarthy to make sure Diakite didn't take a lick at that. Change on the way. Total spark plug, Lebo Melodo. 5 goals, led the side last year in the championship. Akinyoti, the holding midfielder, comes off.
Well done by Bolu. Solidified the middle of the park. Truly thought the midfield 3-4 in the first half, opening 15 minutes, were brilliant. Unfortunately, that faded fast. And give credit to the Rowdies defensively, not allowing them the ability to play through the middle. However, as a midfielder, you have to find a way to step out of your comfort zone, branch out, give them another look, and neither squad been able to do so.
All the triumvirate working in unison, Lancaster. Belmar. Belmar driving in. Well, he took a shot at the end of it. Melodo just over the top of Lancaster. That looked bordering identical to the 2017 Cup final goal, that curling ball from midfield.
Melodo gives you a bit of a different look than Akinyoti, much more offensive-minded and has excellent vision. This was just a second ago. Carlton Belmar, great matchup on that right side, this time going with the left foot. And it's just that tiny bit of execution Nashville's been lacking in the final third. Definitely started to make their way into this match. Tampa Bay sitting a bit of a deeper line. I'm sure Andrew Tenari would have to say something about that.
It's Tejada, the goal scorer. Reed, Grassa, great year for Reno a couple seasons ago, and the heartbeat of most midfields he steps into. Tribbett. Lancaster flicks it over. Melodo weaves his way by Tejada. Now Nashville's starting to play with a bit of flash and flair. Grassa lifted for Rios, who settles. Melodo, a drive caught by McCarthy. Better.
How pretty, right? Said at halftime. Too predictable. Just put it on the ground, let the ball do the work. 1-2 touches. Lovely chest by Daniel Rios to put it up for Melodo. Didn't really challenge John McCarthy. Gives you an idea of what they're capable of. So impressive on the ball when they want to be.
Tejada scoring back at the 34-minute mark. The Chepo FC Academy in Panama. Played for the Lakeland Tropics, USL League 2. Trialed in the preseason, scored against UCF. The spot on the roster. And will pick up a little national notoriety if his goal remains. Difference maker. Back to McCarthy. What a question mark the goalkeeping position was last year for Tampa Bay.
Well, that argument's over.
Yeah, yeah.
John McCarthy, great goalkeeper in general, really stood on his head a few weeks ago against Louisville City FC, the reigning champs. Were
Guinzotti forcing his way in. Guinzotti laying it off. Fernandez tried to beat Pickens to that near post. And in the only spot he had to pick out.
How about Guinzotti and his ability to keep his head up here? This is an all-out number 9 who becomes unselfish, realizes the late run. Got to do better. Put something on there. There is pressure coming from the near side, though. They got rattled in Nashville FC, but the back line stayed steady, just drifted over. Helped Matt Pickens out.
Be sure to tune in Wednesday, May the 22nd. ESPN USL Championship Game of the Week is on ESPN News. League newcomers Birmingham Legion FC welcome Nashville SC. It's the week's best match on the Game of the Week. May 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN News. Birmingham Legion look really good on paper. They've started to get some results after a start of the year that would have some coaches pulling their hair out.
I'm going to lose some money. No, not a betting man, but Mikey Lopez, Chandler Hoffman. I mean, the names go on and on. Daniel Johnson on the left, former Chicago Fire player. He's probably been the bright light for them, and they're another team that aren't in midseason form, much like many of these squads, that are still trying to figure out exactly what they are. And they've given you some quality looks for 20, 25 minutes, but then they can't back it up again. They haven't been able to replicate it on a regular basis, and it's really struggled from a standing standpoint.
Tenari tiptoeing. Fired over Rios. In the 70th minute, Nashville, Tennessee, the site. USL Championship Game of the Week. Rowdies 1, Nashville 0. The result holds. Rowdies would be first the Eastern Conference. New York Red Bulls, too, continuing to keep the pressure on. A little dribbling exhibition. Cleared by Pickens. Crowd loves it. And Pickens looking for a ball here. And, some contact on the back end of those shenanigans.
No love lost for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Matt Pickens not necessarily knowing for all his technical ability on the ball.
Well, Darnell King took a bit of a hit in the first half too. It's if you're not on our team, you're not with us anymore.
That's Neal Collins having a word with the boys. Go get them off the leash, have a little fun.
Connor Sparrow gotten a couple starts, and Matt Pickens is on the backside of his career. It's just an age thing. No one lasts forever, even in a position where your shelf life runs a little bit later in your career.
Definitely not ability. 34 games last year, 15 shutouts, only 33 goals against. So, again, the performance is still there. But also, when he came into this club, he immediately was named the goalkeeping coach. And you know, Gary Smith said that he's starting to drift in that coaching direction. Pickens is okay with it. He should be. Phenomenal goalkeeper, needs to pass that knowledge on. And why not extend your career within this beautiful game?
They feel like they've got 3 good goalkeepers. And the conversation has been, if there is anxiety about what lays ahead for Nashville, none of these players are showing it. There's good camaraderie, and that even some changes in goal, which is the most difficult place to make changes on a consistent basis, even those have gone over quite well. After all, Nashville 4 shutouts. Only the Rowdies have more with 5 in the East. Fernandez curling this along. Fernandez trying to get by Belmar. A second bite of the apple. Grassa. Caleb Richards.
You can't bring Nashville down. Just a wall of white shirts. Carlton Belmar tracking back. Loved what he's been able to do on the defensive side. Bradley Bourgeois tucking in next to him. Ken Dribbett captaining everything from the middle of the field. And this is a look that I'd like to see. I want to see Meloto in a higher line, allow LaGrassa to drift back. He's much more accustomed to being in the middle of the field anyway, especially on the defensive side, going both direction, much more box-to-box midfielder. That's nothing against Meloto. He likes to play a high line. He likes to be the aggressor and get going forward, and they need to take advantage of his skill set in that manner.
Lancaster walking away from the spot of this free kick. It's Jordan Doherty who gets into it, and it's because Nashville's going to play quickly. LaGrassa did get out. Well, maybe you heard, maybe you didn't, but you're hearing now. Fans, the USL unveiled its elite youth platform, USL Academy. This allows clubs at all levels across the USL to develop its local youth and compete at the highest level across the United States, including the USL Academy Cup. More information, visit uslsoccer.com/academy. If you are a fan of the U.S. national team, I think you can look at some of the players that have come out of the championship the last couple of years. Tyler Adams and Aaron Long out of Red Bulls too come to mind. Alphonso Davies for Canada. There is talent out there. The attack is on here, and from a tight angle, closed down very quickly.
We've heralded Nashville and their ability to close down the ball so far. Not that the Rowdies are exploding going forward, but defensively for Tampa Bay. Showcased it at the top of the hour. Work ethic by Sean Barry. Furious that he didn't have help but a great job tracking back against Taylor Washington. They just all move so well together.
Melodo. And all the way out to Washington. Rios. Turns and fires. That's off target. Tribbett slapping his hands. He was approaching that back post.
Daniel Rios a bit frustrated. He's trying to find the ball to his feet now. Saw it a lot in the first half. Ball's in, good movement out. Hasn't been the case in the second. And this is the balance we talk about. Can you get all three of these guys on the field and not necessarily make them happy, but profit from it? Can you get Lancaster, Belmar, Rios all on the same page? You can see the individual glimpses so far. But where's the group effort?
Nashville waiting to make be their final change.
Opportunity with 15 minutes left. Get a sip of water, have a chat with the manager, and figure out what the approach is with a quarter to go.
By the way, Devin, I mentioned earlier nearly 500 appearances for Neal Collins as a pro. Gary Smith has coached at seemingly every level on this side of the pond and the other. So Collins actually played 5 times with Sheffield United against Stevenage, including the League One playoff semifinal. Sheffield United ended up winning that. Collins made his penalty against Huddersfield Town at Wembley. Ultimately, they fell, didn't get to the championship. But Collins did score in that 4-1 Sheffield United win, so these two know each other.
Some bragging rights there. Only the one win for Stevenage, though Gary Smith would go on. You think about all the teams that he's coached for. How about Neal Collins, though? Just getting an opportunity to continue on the bragging rights. You have to remember, Nashville SC, Tampa Bay Rowdies met twice last year. They had the 2-0 victory and the 1-1 draw, so SC has yet to get in the win column. They're looking to change things now.
Allen Wynn, All-American at North Carolina, has come on. Former second-round pick of the Colorado Rapids.
Easy like-for-like switch in Allen Wynn, Taylor Washington. Something I would be curious to see, and we haven't so far. First few games, they toyed with it a little bit, is Belmar on the left. They put the ball in, let him cut in a bit. Because you've seen him a few times, he's gotten down into the corner and had a bit of trouble getting back across due to his matchup with Caleb Richards and Leo Fernandez. Why not let him go challenge the likes of Tarek Morad and Sean Barry? Barry struggling on the ankle anyway. Have a little go.
So right now, the Rowdies down a man as they try and handle that previous injury. Fernandez giving chase, Belmar knocking it back. Lancaster, long diagonal. There's a ton of space out here for Nashville to play into. Driving along, and well done by Morad for a moment, kept by Wynn. And lifted across toward Rios. Change coming. And Sean Barry, who came on as a substitute, has to leave after picking up that knock on the field.
You better believe he's going back to that ankle. He was questionable coming in. Get a better look. Up through the middle. Watch the landing zone. Actually in the midsection catches it, and then the ankle bends a bit. And if that movement just a second ago, 3 passes 5 seconds earlier, Lancaster was in on the far post.
Kone has come on. Ball brought down by Rios and lifted away by the newly inserted Kone. Right to LaGrassa. Tap back toward Melodo. Good slide by Diakite. Recovered by Guenzati. behind Tenari. Nashville's pressure continues to grow. Slid away. Fallon win. Corner Nashville. 10+ minutes to go.
To the home crowd, Rowdies start amping things up here. Get behind your team. Let's build the noise level. Help them out. Make it more difficult to play on the road. They've quieted down a bit. Trying to get back in this match.
Melodo. Reed.
Tonight's attendance, 6,628. Thank you for our town for supporting our club, Nashville SC. Tonight's attendance
Belmar.
is sponsored by Acton Real Estate.
Drew the defenders in. Fernandez going shoulder to shoulder. McGross, a good outlet. Struck on a line. Straight back out to Reed. A lot of numbers in the final third right now for Nashville. Long dragging run. Belmar. A lot of white shirts in the area. Davis will run all the way to McCarthy.
Well done by Michael Reed drifting back. Ken Tribbett had moved all the way up. Center back trying to get involved in the run, and Michael Reed just understood the movement. Had to drop back in between Bourgeois and Justin Davis. Allowed them to push Sahara away from it. Gary Smith a bit frustrated coming down here. Again, his squad really has shown some impressive movement, but it's 2-3 minute spans. Opening 10 minutes, first half looked quite nice on the ball, very comfortable. And then right around the 65th minute mark, we saw some pleasurable play by Nashville SC, and that just hasn't been the case, drifting in and out so frequently.
Tejada, Tenari, Guinzotti, one-on-one, driving off of Bourgeois. Gosh, if you're not excited to see this guy. First appearance for Kwabwo Poku this year. At NYCFC, Colt hero. And then he sort of fell out of favor with Patrick Vieira. Makes his way into the championship with Tampa Bay.
He had a brief stint at Miami FC. And this is a guy coming from Ghana who he had 3 appearances for the Ghanaian national team and maybe could be an heir apparent in that process over in Africa. Not the case, because again, kind of fell out of favor there. Hasn't repped for them since 2015. And can you get this guy back into form? Such a load of talent. Andrew Tenari, you can see it on his face. Not necessarily happy, not only being subbed off by his performance. Seen better.
We'll see if 88 can make an impact. Belmar right to Pickens. Belmar.
Not enough, is it? Nolan Wynn just on a different page. Still plenty of time to get in, but you can get an idea of the frustration by all the players. Heads are down. Not the best body language so far. Tampa Bay Rowdies, albeit 1 or 2 men game going the other direction, still finding a way to frustrate the back line, although their efforts are a bit slower moving to the dead balls. Take the time off the clock.
Tejada will give chase. Picked up by Pickens. You think about Tampa Bay, and Pickens was one of the guys who left at the end of 2017 to come on to Nashville. 10 came in, 7 left, 2 season-ending injuries in the opening couple months of the year for the Rowdies, a coaching change. They did everything but sign the Chupacabra himself. And they missing the playoffs with a team with that much talent. You go, how did that happen? The reality is Neal Collins, nor you and I, had seen any kind of experience like that change-wise over the course of one season.
Things are a bit different now, aren't they?
Right now, we were talking with Neal Collins. He goes, clean bill of health. We're good. More or less, we're good. A couple guys here and there, but the guys we had last week are still here.
It shows in the starting 11 as well. I mean, they're all in there regularly. Not just 2018, but 17 players.
Service for Rios. That's off target. Tarek Morad barking, perhaps at Rios, perhaps at the AR.
Having a word with his center backs as well as he drifts to the back. Good movement by Daniel Rios. Nice look up, ball drifting. What a challenge. Unfortunately, can't get enough height to really put it on frame against John McCarthy. Tarek Morad was furious with the weak side help. Thought he deserved a bit more.
Pickens announced the man of the match to a crowd of 6,628, First Tennessee Park. Tejada, good numerical opportunity here for Tampa Bay. And Poku recovers, plays it across. It's out of the reach of Guinzotti. The most enthralling moment from Kwadwo Poku.
Notice the patience on the ball, though. Guinzotti, seasoned veteran, doesn't panic. They miss the opportunity, but they retain possession. Recycle things back around. Clock goes tick, tick, tick. And you still have the opportunity to threaten. You wonder where this has been, huh? This is what each team has been wanting, and you better believe the managers are going to take a look back on the match when they do video work and say, loved it here, not so much there, and that seems to be most of the match. Tejada would have been off.
And not a lot of time to consider last game's tape because Nashville's going to play 6 games in about 3 weeks' time. The Open Cup kicking off for both these teams next week. So things are going to get a little complicated. But both teams will play their next 3 matches at home. To skitter out. And by the way, congratulations to the Rowdies fans who get to go watch the Open Cup for free. They've opened the doors and said, need a ticket, just make your way into St. Pete and come watch the Rowdies.
Did you submit the request off for work?
Not yet.
We could make that drive.
I mean, we could. Not a bad one.
I'm sure Neal Collins would love having us in the house. Call up Drew Felios.
Would he really?
Ryan Davis, go have a word with those boys. Hang out with them in the booth. They do such a great job. Love listening to their broadcast.
Well, then you have to talk about John Freeman of Thunder and Lightning fame, Nashville DNA fame.
We'll bring him with us.
Yes, that's right.
They're probably playing that night as well, though.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Got tormented, too, from USL League 2.
That's right.
Who upset Chattanooga Red Wolves 3-0.
There were some fun ones yesterday, weren't there?
How about the kickers? I mentioned earlier 6 goals, but Boateng had 4 of them.
I saw the team they were playing, Virginia United, in last round of qualifying. Kind of had an idea the writing was on the wall. They managed to get 2 away, but still, Richmond kickers showing you the quality in a club that has such storied success in the U.S. Open Cup.
The one that hopes in their inaugural season, USL League 1, they're going to be one of the favorites to take a title home.
This should have been Nashville ball. LaGrassa has every right to be upset because it does get the deflection off of Morad. Did a good job to win it. Just seconds left. Barring a bit of extra time due to injury on Sean Barry. Made a stoppage 4.
Fernandez here. Tarek Morad picked up a yellow card there. That's his 3rd of the season. 5 without one of those good behavior things. You wouldn't know anything about it.
No.
5 games without a card. That's like a Devin fan. No, actually, I don't know that you really care for that.
Good behavior for me was already getting in trouble and enjoying a night off on the bench because of suspension.
Lancaster's a bit hobbled. 4 minutes of stoppage time. We'll see if Nashville can find a really quality point. He drew with Tampa Bay once last year at Al Lang Stadium, a great road point. Fell 2-1 to the Rowdies in Nashville.
Tampa Bay Rowdies, such a staunch defense. We said more shutouts than goals. 4 given up and only 1 given up in the second half. So they show you that they're able to maintain the consistency defensively throughout the match in its entirety. Nashville SC still looking for something special. They have yet to maintain proper movement on a regular basis. Even through the substitutions tactically that Gary Smith has made. We've only seen the glimpses that we've talked about. Carlton Belmar, Daniel Rios, Cameron Lancaster was high on what was going on in the movement in the middle early on. Unfortunately, that quickly faded. Credit to the Rowdies in the middle of the field, shutting things down.
Long service, open header, ball steered down. There's an appeal for a handball, and I think they may be onto something here. Lancaster helped up by his former teammate at Louisville, Tarek Morad. First glance, I think a replay is going to help us out quite a bit.
There's quite a few shouts for a handball there, and arm extended away from the body. Difficult in traffic to tell, though.
A couple players making the same run here. Poku. Doherty out in front, diving effort, plenty of contact. Midway point of stoppage time here.
Some tired boys. Heavy legs right now. Rowdy's done well on the road. Look, sometimes you take a look at a performance, and yes, maybe there's not the best movement through the middle of the field. Maybe they haven't necessarily shown a lot on the offensive end. You've still gone on the road, getting a goal in the first half from a set piece, and you've maintained your defensive structure. Sometimes that's all you need when you go on the road, and especially for the Rowdies, who have been so poor in the past on the road. Now they've done a good job. You go away from home, seconds to see this out. But a good job. They have yet to win against the top 5 or 6. All ties, and they were good ties again. We mentioned the Lou City and St. Louis, and as well as the Indy 11 recently. But now you get an opportunity. Go beat a team. Statement victory for the Rowdies. They can see it out.
It's a bouncing ball and well handled by Pickens to deny some trouble brewing there. Well, a minute here for Nashville to try and make something of the night, or Tampa Bay will continue a 10-match unbeaten run to start 2019. Practically unfathomable this time last year. Lifted away by Kone. This would tie a Rowdy modern era record for unbeaten games. Neal Collins' first year as a full-time manager. Off to a picture-perfect start. Lancaster knocked it wide. Service deflected. All pumped over the top. Everybody forward here. Maybe one more chance. LaGrassa playing it over. Belmar. Scooping toward Rios. Lofted ball. Bounds down, and that's cleared. And Tampa Bay goes on the road, picks up a shutout. Their 6th of the year, most in the championship, 10 unbeaten to start the year in the beastly Eastern Conference. And they're atop the table on this Wednesday night.
Lovely from Neal Collins and his boys, and they will enjoy this one. Difficult place to play. Sometimes you're not overwhelming in your performance, but you do just enough to get it done. That was the case for Juan Tejada. Great ball in by Fernandez, and they were just able to see things out on the road. Excellent victory, continuing this momentum as they jump atop the East.
Big moment for the 22-year-old, 34th minute goal. Tampa Bay sees through a 1-0 result. We'll wrap it up when we return to the USL Championship Game of the Week.
On behalf of Nashville Soccer Club and Mill Creek, thank you for spending this evening with us here at First Tennessee Park. Please check that you picked up all your personal items, children, purses, keys, and all electronic devices. Also, please remember to place all your trash in the trash receptacle, strategically placed around the stadium. As you exit the facility, please do so in a courteous fashion. Thanks again for attending today's match and for your support of Nashville Soccer Club. On behalf of Nashville SC, this is Chris Jackson. Have a good night, and please don't text and drive.
Well, it's the Rowdies atop the charts in the USL Championships Eastern Conference. 6,628 take in a 1-0 Rowdy win over Nashville. Thanks for joining us all night here for the USL Championship Game of the Week with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand to wrap this one up. And Devin, Tampa Bay in years past, I don't know that they get a result on the road, but a little grit and determination, they get 3 points and they're top the East now.
We remarked on it before, but sometimes you don't need a brilliant performance. In my opinion, this was brilliant. Look at Leo Fernandez on the left. Defensively, he had his hands full with Carlton Belmar all night. He's my man of the match. You have to be gritty on the road. You have to have character. You saw all of that tonight from the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Neal Collins and the gang are off to a fantastic start. Modern era record, 10 unbeaten. Let's take a look at highlights from this affair. And it began early, decent opportunities for both Nashville and the Rowdies in the first half. How about Rios from distance?
He tried to have a go. It's going to take something special against John McCarthy. Had some brilliant performances this year. Keeper wasn't tested much, but was up to the task early on against Daniel Rios. The back post really thought this was going to be the coming out party for Carlton Belmar, and you can see him getting into the right spaces. Unfortunately, just hasn't really been able to matriculate into the back of the net. Neal Collins said they're trying to lock things up offensively from set pieces. Not a bad result. Great ball in by Leo Fernandez. Guenzati just does everything right. Puts it back in, allows someone to go make a play. Juan Tejada, back of the net. Rowdies up 1-0.
Yeah, that's the plan. The 22-year-old in the 34th minute. And it's his second of the year. The Rowdies on the board. And remember, only one of 16 Nashville wins all time came when conceding a goal. So they need to try and find something late. Rios, one of the better chances.
One of the problems dealing with the Tampa Bay Rowdies is defensively, they actually get better as the match goes on. Only giving up 4 goals on the year, only 1 in the second half. Very difficult for Daniel Rios, Matt LaGrossa and co. to break things down. Interesting how set pieces came to play. Offensively for Tampa Bay, Nashville have given up 8 goals now, 4 from set piece opportunities. So on the defensive side of things, need to look to lock things up there. A bunch of talking points to learn from, but still momentum to be had for Nashville. This is a great Rowdies squad and a difficult loss to take. However, good opportunity going forward.
Thoughts and prayers to Justin Schmidt and Solo Asante, as both of them lost their fathers in the last week. But Asante's rising, Schmidt's New Mexico, both are on ESPN networks for the game of the week. Birmingham, Nashville next for us on the 22nd.
Should be top quality, as well as keep an eye on San Antonio FC El Paso Locomotive. Darren Powell thinks his boys are starting to find a bit of momentum. Mark Lowry and El Paso can knock the ball with the best of them. They look to continue their progression in the West.
So for our entire Vista World Link team, led by Mike Friedman, producer Abel Ponte, director Gage Tillotson, Jose Bueso, and of course Brad Baker, Devin Kerr alongside Mike Watts saying thanks for watching the USL Championship Game of the Week. The Rowdies and their 22-year-old young spark plug, Juan Tejada, get a 34th minute goal, knock off Nashville on the road. You've been watching ESPN2, ESPN, home of the USL Cup.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.